What does it mean to be First Nations? By definition, a First Nations is any group of Indigenous peoples of Canada who are officially recognized as an administrative unit by the federal government or are functioning as such without official status. But it's not just that, it's not just a definition. Throughout history, Indigenous peoples have been seen as savages and treated horribly. We have tried to erase their identity and they have been cheated and killed. It would seem that being Indigenous puts you at a disadvantage, but still, this identity is something to be proud of. Pride is being proud of who you are, your achievements, and your culture. What makes First Nations so proud of their culture is that it is their heritage, and it's where they came from. Without First Nations pride, the culture may have been successfully assimilated. First Nations pride is seen today in the short story Borders.
In the story Borders, the mother has great pride for her identity. She refuses to tell the border guards her country of origin and only identifies as Blackfoot. She feels that she does not belong to Canada, but to her culture and her tribe. She has so much pride she stays between the U.S. and Canada border for 2 nights and 3 days, with limited food, while sleeping in her car with her son. In the end, her stubbornness pays off because her story attracts news attention and is allowed to pass through to visit her daughter in Salt Lake City. Overall, the moral of the story is to stay true to your identity, even if it is not accepted by others.
First Nation identity is seen in many ways today. A great example is the anti-pipeline blockade. The Wet'suwet'en First Nation have been battling a 416-mile pipeline for the territory in British Columbia. Their pride and identity has sparked protests and support across the country. Another example of First Nation pride was the Oka crisis. It was a 78-week standoff between the Mohawk protesters and the RCMP. The native people refused to move off their sacred land when told there was going to be a golf course built there. The standoff went on and resulted in them coming to agreement and the death of a police officer. This historical event shows the pride that the First Nation people have.